The comic book Escape by Rick Remender and Daniel Acuña is nothing short of a masterpiece. Don't let the design fool you. There's nothing cutesy about this story. What's good, Comic Collective? My name is Andre, and I'm teaming up with the homie D-Rod today to talk to you about Escape by Rick Remender and Daniel Acuña. Let's talk anthropomorphism. I agree with Rick Remender when he said that it is a great equalizer. If we've seen stories or read stories like Mouse by Art Spiegelman or Watership Down, or even if you grew up watching different cartoons like Franklin or Oswald, there's something really sobering and equalizing about having these big themes like racism or war, fascism, all these different components of the human experience boiled down into different animals, different species. It is both reminiscent of the things that we have experienced or heard about, and it's placed right in front of our faces. Rick Remender was saying that he really is fascinated by the whole idea of empathy being expressed more through animals. And I've seen that time and time again. People who have watched I Am Legend cry over the dog dying more than humanity. I'm really fascinated with Escape in this way because each issue dives a little bit more and more deep as you see the world being built within those different animals, and anthropomorphism is an amazing device that I agree with for this story. When you're reading single issues on comics, you would be remiss not to read the letters at the end. If you've never read them, please take my word for it. It illuminates the story in ways that you could never imagine because it allows you to know what the author's intent was, what the artist's intent was, and it just brings it all together in a great way. I really like Escape in all the different letters at the end because it's actually also titled Letters from Home. It is a nod to what a lot of soldiers would experience having letters from home. And you would find when you read this that Rick Remender talks in pretty good lengths about him and Daniel Acuña's grandfathers fighting in different wars and the effects that that has on family. Rick Remender's father had a tough relationship with his grandfather because he was estranged from him, but his grandfather was a pilot in war. But when you have your endorphins rising like that all the time and then you return home from war, you're almost a shell of yourself. So Rick Remender's father had a tough relationship with his grandfather, and then that poured into a difficult relationship that Rick had with his own father. He was able to find out more details about his grandfather post his own father's death, and then all of this was to matriculate into a way of understanding into the story that is Escape. Rick Remender and Daniel Acuña were sharing within these letters that their entire goal was to show the stark contrast and the darkness of war, as well as showing the impact not only on the soldiers, but the soldiers' families themselves. They wanted to paint a picture in a way that was respectable, as well as also doing it in a creative medium, the one that we love, which is comic books. The homie D-Rod is going to take it away from here and give us a non-spoiler synopsis of this wonderful story. I'm gonna tell you right now, you really do need to tap in, and please do not skip those letters because it will make the story shine in ways that you could never imagine. Take it away, D-Rod.
Thank you, Andre, for that great introduction, and thank you for going into the letters and the complexity behind what Rick Remender and Daniel Acuña are doing on their title, Escape. Issue 1 is very different from the rest of the series as we're throwing straight into the action. Not to say that the other issues don't have action, but this specifically is the focus of issue 1. Now in issue 1, we are dropped into the middle of combat. The allied powers, represented by a different set of anthropomorphic animals from dogs to cats, are going head to head against the bats, which are representative of the Axis powers. During this conflict, we're introduced to this ragtag team of bombers. Of these characters, it includes Captain Milton Shaw. He's a pilot and commander. He's a large, imposing grizzly bear, and he would be the focal point and who we follow throughout the series. You're introduced to Lieutenant Flynn. He's the co-pilot, and he's the officer. He is a dog, and he speaks with a British accent. Magoo, the gunner, along with a few other characters that I'll let you figure out for yourself. Now, what blows me away about this issue is just how fast we learn and care about these characters. Somehow, Rick Remender's writing makes the characters feel familiar, even though it's your first encounter with them. Couple that with great artwork and emotional facial composures that are actually from animals, then you're in for a very emotional roller coaster of a first issue. Issue 2 is a tremendous change of pace, but in all honesty, it's where I became fully invested in the story and what these characters have to provide. Long story short, these characters fall in love, and as love goes, sacrifices are made. The idea of servitude for your country, this is a very specific scenario that we see unfold several times, but done so tastefully and carefully, and with such artistry that is so engaging and immersive that you won't find it anywhere else. This is a unique story that you need to read. I can almost guarantee that after issue 2, you will be hooked just as I was and just as my whole circle is. As all the other issues, issue 3 is incredibly immersive. We get our first depiction of a essentially one-take spread of action through a monologuing of Milton himself. He navigates around tight corners and crevices and sneaks around the opposition, all while monologuing to himself and reflecting on the position that he's in. How much sacrifice is truly worth it for his country? What is he giving up in exchange for the freedom of others? All of these themes are explored to the brim. I want to also highlight the idea of perspectives. This issue, and I think the whole series in general, does an excellent job at providing interesting perspectives and dynamics while viewing the story unfold. If you thought issue 3 was engaging, you won't believe what it sets up for issue 4. With full transparency, issue 4 is my favorite issue. Issue 4 goes into a very beautiful narrative, and we see the last moments that Milton has with his wife. As he says goodbye, we see her confront him and use the word that is the title of this entire project, escape. The meaning behind that word, its significance, and it's something that I won't talk further on because it is so influential. You have to go out and read it to really understand what that words mean and what it means to the characters. Regardless, I love this panel, I love this opening, and it is something that has truly resonated with me and stuck with me as I read anything else. I reflect on the themes of sacrifice, on compromise, and on servitude to our country. In addition to this, we are introduced to Anders Mueller alongside his son Emil. Now, these two are essentially prisoners of war in a sense, but on their own home turf. Anders Mueller is a baker and a pacifist, and his son is an innocent bystander in the war. Out of the goodness of their hearts, they take Milton in and protect him. They clearly come from very different paths, and Milton sees things in a very black and white sense, but Anders takes the time to explain himself and to try to brighten his scope of what he believes is how the world works. Issue 5, the penultimate issue, is the chance to see what the soldiers think, how they maneuver, how their psyche is formed. You can see clear discrepancies between the newly recruited and the people who have formerly been in war before. The power dynamics are interesting and bold. Conversations are had that puts everything into perspective. The bats interrogate one of their own, Anders and his son. They bombard their place. They treat them like scoundrels and refugees. And in order to protect himself and the family, Milton has to bite his tongue and hide. He pushes on with his mission, going straight to the source, attempting to do what he was sent to do, to end the war. Issue 6 takes a very visual approach with non-stop action similar to issue 1. We follow him as he attempts to ambush a secure facility and to complete his mission to end the war. I'll leave the synopsis as that just for the sake of issue 7 dropping tomorrow, which is Wednesday, New Comic Book Day. If any of this sounded appealing and or interesting, please check out Escape. It is a bold story set in the World War II setting with anthropomorphic characters. Me and Andre are truly passionate and very proud to present this project to you. Please go check out Escape tomorrow at your LCS. Shout out to the Comic, shout out to the Comic Collective. Thank you for watching, and please tap into Escape. Thank you.